Welcome to Warehouse Women, a podcast where we talk about commercial real estate, building businesses, and passive income, but most importantly, turning barriers into strengths. It's been a full year and a half since I decided to go full-time into real estate, and here are the lessons that I've learned since. I'm going to start with the biggest one. I have to work on myself the most. The amount of work I've put into my own self-growth this year is immense. Courses, conferences, books, podcasts, therapy, personal training, mindset coaching, paid mentorship. And the key to all of this is not to do it passively, but actively. I am constantly thinking about how I can add value to the market, to my investors, to my employees, and how I need to better myself so that I'm capable of creating these changes and building what I want and what will serve the community. I think the most work I've done this year is either on my mental growth or my growth as a leader, but honestly, they tie into each other so much. When you have a team relying on you to lead, provide vision and clarity, and create opportunity, it lights a whole new fire under you to become the best version of yourself so you can serve them well. Which leads me to my second lesson learned this year. What is my job as the CEO or founder of this real estate company? It can be really easy to get overwhelmed, especially as the founder of a company, whether or not you have employees. So what I've learned, thank you AJ Osborne for helping me figure this one out, is my job as the CEO and founder of my company is to lead, teach, structure, and create opportunity. Now this means different things at different levels of my business. At first, everything was in one box. I was acquisitions, development, asset management, investor relations, and operations. I had to know how to do it all, and I had to do it all. But most importantly, what I learned in this stage is to give priority to needle movers, the things that will actually help us make revenue so we can build our company and our team. As I was first starting out, that meant building broker relationships. It meant identifying my ideal investor, finding them, and building relationships with them. It meant figuring out how to find general contractors and subcontractors and how to work with them. It meant identifying an asset and how we were going to create value there and execute on it. On the next level, this meant identifying the asset class and value add strategy and training my acquisitions team up to build and maintain these relationships as they built out our pipeline. It meant continuing to be the main person that my investors connect with. It meant bringing on board my awesome development and asset manager, Karam. And it means constantly figuring out what I can do to develop myself, my team, and our strategy so we can serve our investors and stakeholders. Which brings me to my third lesson learned. How to decide what is important, both personally and professionally. In order to develop my team, I learned I had to create parameters and conditions for their success. Not because they were not competent, but because it's my job to provide clarity to my team. It's one of the biggest indicators of my skills as a leader, how well I can clearly show the vision of our company and how I can clearly communicate how that translates into our daily activities. What I have found useful for this is a scorecard on Excel. A project management software that tracks all of our projects, their importance, deadlines, and status, weekly team alignment meetings, we use the EOS framework, and set in quarterly goals that are visible on our weekly scorecard so that we can see the short and midterm goals. I learned these methods through books like Traction, Atomic Habits, The 12-Week Year, Deep Work, and The One Thing. But I learned how to make them work for me and my team by actually implementing what I learned and then tweaking them. Like Bruce Lee said, adapt what is useful, reject what is useless, and add what is specifically your own. Which brings me to my fourth lesson learned this year. You learn best by doing. Now, as I've mentioned earlier, I studied books, podcasts, mentors, coaches, and all of that was invaluable to me. But I'm the type of person who needs to do something to deeply learn it. I learn from my mistakes, which does mean I make a lot of mistakes, but smarter ones each time. One of my earliest lessons was how to talk to brokers. It seemed so daunting in the beginning, calling up a broker who had 15 years of experience, who has a 1.5 million property listed. I'm a new investor. What if I sound dumb? What if I ask stupid questions? Will they even take me seriously? If you've ever tried to cold call a professional about something you're interested in, you may know how I felt. But I put in my headphones, dialed the number, started pacing, and hit the call button. And it was not perfect, but I learned. The only way I will be taken seriously by brokers is if I learned how to speak their language. That meant understanding cap rates, how to ask them about their fee, and how to make good offers. It took some time, but now I have no problem calling up a phone number on a billboard. This doesn't mean I'll be perfect all the time, even now. I was having lunch with one broker who I'd been working with for almost a year when he told me, when I first called him, he was like, "Who is this person just hounding me with questions, not even introducing themselves?" Now I definitely start by introducing myself and my company before jumping into a bunch of questions. But I didn't know that for a full year, and this person still had a good relationship with me. So it's the simple stuff. You can learn, you can make mistakes, and you can still build a relationship that can last years. So if you want to build your pipeline and get good deals, learn how to connect with brokers. Which brings me to my fifth lesson. Building relationships is key. Everything is about people and relationships. It's not about who you know, but about your relationship with those you know. What value do you add to their lives? This can be tangible through your skill set or intangible through your mindset. I'm sure you've heard all the generic advice about building relationships, so I want to share with you what has worked for me as I've built my business and invested in my relationships. Communication is a skill. It can always be improved. I used to be a professional mediator, which means I had certificates and courses and skills on my communication, but every day I still work to improve my communication, and every day I'm able to improve my communication, which means it is always a skill that can be improved. Nothing is more important than being genuine. A lot of the reason I honestly dislike social media is because I feel that it's difficult to be genuine on social media, whether it's for myself or someone else. I'm a relatively private person. I don't like to share, and I don't actually spend a lot of time on social media. So when it comes to being genuine, I thought you can only do it by being in person. But through the relationship I built, through people like Parsa or Serena or Mikey, I learned that it's possible to be yourself, be genuine, and connect with new people through things like a podcast, which is why I started my podcast. If you genuinely do not connect to someone, that is okay. You can still learn something from someone who you don't necessarily connect with. Even if it's something as simple as what you don't want to do in life or in business. For example, Grant Cardone, I definitely have respect for the man, but when I looked at his well-tested email templates, it just didn't connect with me, and I learned what I did not want to do. But if you look at his free course, he will also tell you that relationships and delivering value is all you need. Where to find good relationships? This isn't talked about as much, but most of my relationships have come through conferences, cold calling, and connecting on webinar chats. I know a lot of people also connect through Instagram and similar interests there. Like I said, I don't spend much time on social media, so that's probably not where I connect with people the most. But I want to focus on the conference bit here. If you want to connect with the conference speakers, be sure to know what value you can bring them ahead of time. Do your research and make sure that you communicate the value that you will bring to them, even if it's first giving them that free value. If you just want a picture for Instagram, that's fine too. You do you. I'm selective about the people I connect with at conferences. I will talk to everyone, but I want to spend time with my peers who are just a step or two ahead of me. They will have more time and more tactical advice for me. I can learn from their mistakes, and it's a lot easier for me to figure out how I can provide value to them. Another type of person I like to connect with at conferences are those who have similar or higher growth mindset. One such person I connected with is Serena, and in the year we've known each other, we do weekly or monthly accountability calls, push each other to achieve our full potential, and help each other to work through our mindset blocks. I hope this provided you with some unique and tactical relationship building tips. So to recap, lesson 1 is I've had to work on myself the most. Lesson 2 for me was it's my job as the leader to lead, teach, structure, and create opportunity. 3, how to decide what is important personally and professionally. 4, learn by doing, so keep doing. 5, building relationships. And the next thing will be on next week's episode. So this series will be continued in next week's episode, and until then, I'd love to hear what you found valuable, so connect with me on LinkedIn and let me know. If you enjoyed this episode, please share it with a friend, and I'll see you next week.